My god, this seems forever ago now, but do you remember when this tweet dropped? When wishlist videos about Civ 7 from excitable creators were literally everywhere, and there was non-stop chatter on forums like Reddit about just how incredible Civ 7 was gonna be. So what the hell has happened? How has Civ 7 gone from that to being a complete disaster in the space of a year? What red flags were missed, and is there any hope for the future? Hi, I'm Alex the Grumpy Yorkshireman, and this is the pretty incredible story of Civ 7 so far. If I was to pinpoint where things started going very wrong for Civ 7, it's quite easy to do. It's about here.
Instead of playing as one single civilization across every age, you'll evolve your empire into a new civilization for each new age.
These words from Age Beach signalled the start of disaster for Civ 7. Looking back now, it's like when you watch Titanic and you see the iceberg. Everybody knows what's about to happen, and no matter how many times I watch this gameplay showcase back, I know the ship is about to start sinking. It's in this aftermath that we pick our story up. The big Civ switching iceberg was about to wreak havoc, but it was not the only problem Civ 7 was facing. Oh no. The gameplay showcase also highlighted that radical change was coming with features like ages and the highly disruptive and, in my opinion, really annoying age transitions that were accompanying them. Civ 7 was shaping up at this point to be a vastly different experience from what came before, which is good in some ways, but also posed one very interesting question. Why? Why implement features that rip the core of the series away and copy the unpopular Civ switching mechanic from Humankind? That made no sense. It didn't then, it still doesn't. Was it driven by a desire to make Civ 7 stand out from its impressively popular predecessors? Everybody loves either Civ 5 or Civ 6, right? Or was it because of pressure from an increasingly competitive turn-based strategy scene? 4X games were on the rise at this point, and to some extent still are. Whatever the reason, in the same way that Christian Bale always seems to overdo the method acting for roles, who knows what he did to get into the headspace of American Psycho. Hopefully he didn't kill people. But Civ 7 had definitely overdone the revision of its gameplay, and it would pay for that. Looking back, the gameplay showcase was the first major warning sign of what was to come with Civ 7. But many of us missed it. Many of us were still caught up in the hype of Civ 7, including the devs. They definitely missed that the first signs of discontent were starting to emerge. By the time the game was released in Feb 2025 though, this dissent was impossible to miss, but not for the reasons that you're probably thinking. At launch, Civ 7 was frankly pathetic. It was nowhere near ready to go. If it was a chicken at a restaurant that you'd ordered, it would have stood up on the plate, laid an egg, and then buggered off. It was just completely ridiculous. Basic features were missing. There were no huge maps, no auto-explore, no ability to rename cities, obviously, because it was missing so much stuff. Map generation was pretty abysmal. The UI was horrendous. Do you remember when they kept talking to us about towns and how important towns were going to be in Civ 7 and towns? Well, when we finally got our hands on the game, we had no information about towns in-game. They couldn't tell us which towns cities were linked to. What on earth? It was a complete joke. This game lacked a proper, serious amount of polish. Don't get me wrong, these aren't the only guilty party. Firaxis, 2K, Take-Two. There's a lot more doing this right now, and this problem's getting bigger and bigger. But it's a problem because many people were already furious at Civ 7, because 1, it launched with DLC, and 2, it had a very, very manipulative pre-order bonus. So releasing the game unfinished was just about the worst thing they could do. They could not wait to charge us even more money for DLC, but we, the players, could wait for the game to be playable. Surprise, surprise, the result of all of this was that any goodwill there was to give the game's new controversial features a chance, a fighting chance, was gone. Combined with bad game design decisions, releasing Civ 7 unfinished had seemingly locked in its fate, but just how bad could things get? Right, there's something I want you to know. Later on in this video, I'm going to share the results of a poll that you guys voted on to tell us all how you feel about Civ 7. But if you want to get involved, you want your vote counted, want your thoughts featured, why not go onto the community post section of the channel and vote on something now? You never know, you might make it into a video. On the face of it, Civ 7's peak of 84,000 Steam players at launch, it's not that bad. Yeah, it's considerably worse than Civ 6's 162,000, but it's better than Civ 5's 70,000. And we also know that the game was available multi-platform at launch for the first time ever, so overall the player base was definitely higher than that figure as well. But the real issue does come, and it comes with what has followed because players have straight up rejected this game. The numbers are bad, and to be honest, overall they are getting worse. Despite a ton of free updates that have resolved some issues, the game's player base has just continued to plummet, and it shows very little sign of bouncing back. After 1 month the game had 30,000 players, after 2 months this had dropped to 20,000 players, and as of September 2025, the game averages consistently below 10,000 players. Now, for comparison, to this day Civ 6 has never dipped below 20,000 players, and it gets around 40 to 50,000 players a day. It's not just players that have reacted badly either. Now, in the press, the suits have backed the game several times, but I've got to say that recent layoffs at Firaxis, the devs behind the game, suggest that things aren't as rosy behind the scenes. Well, in fairness, I guess they were never going to come out and say that this game is trash, but whatever way you look at it, Civ 7 is currently failing. Why the sudden party music, I hear you ask? Well, let's look to the future, and actually, one argument is that this game is seeing the first shoots of recovery. Update 1.2.5 finished off the first roadmap of updates for Civ 7, and now we don't have missing things like the ability to auto-explore or rename cities, and that's all sorted. The UI is going in a better direction, map generation just got a really neat update, and Civ 7 is generally in a much more playable place. It's actually probably where it should have been at launch, which 8 months later, better late than never I guess. And all of this has resulted in, for the first time in months, a slight, very small uptick in the player base on Steam. How exciting's that? Well, maybe not so much. Despite this positivity, we are nowhere near out of the woods yet with this game. There's lots of things that are still very concerning. I personally find it rather worrying that Steam reviews are trending downwards, and it's not as if they started in a great place anyway. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, the results from our latest poll shows that you guys seem united in your almost unanimous disappointment and in some case, extreme anger at the game. A lot of Civ fans are no closer to accepting Civ 7. As I see it, Civ 7 is at basically a crossroads. I genuinely really hope that the green shoots of recovery for this game grow into the most beautiful, full-blown comeback, and that there's so many of you saying, well, I told you it'd be fine, and this game's always been on the right course. But I do fear that without significant change, especially some kind of withdrawal from Civ switching, this could be a slightly positive start to what will ultimately turn out to be another, frankly depressing chapter in Civ 7's challenging story. The remaining chapters of Civ 7 are still to be written. Do you think it will have a happy ending? Or is this book very much a tragedy? Do let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching this one today, and I will catch you soon.
You'll evolve your empire into a new civilization for each new age.